Welcome to pitafi World News with the latest news and updates. I'm Sana Makbool and these are the headlines of the hour. President Arif Alvi says Pakistan is fully capable of defending its sovereignty and peaceful coexistence is the cornerstone of Pakistan's foreign policy. A spectacular joint military parade held in Islamabad to express solemn pledge to always ensure safety, security and prosperity of the motherland. Prime Minister Imran Khan felicitates the armed forces and organizers for holding the magnificent Pakistan Day parade and said the whole world witnessed a spectacular display of professionalism by the valiant soldiers. International Monetary Fund approves $500 million disbursement to Pakistan for budget support as part of its $6 billion loan program. Federal Investigation Agency conducts raids against hoarders and profiteers in Punjab and lodges FIRs against the cartels. Chief Minister Punjab Usman Bazar says provincial government has taken important decisions to provide relief to the people by controlling the prices of essential commodities. Supreme Court stays repolling in the NS75 Daska constituency scheduled to be held on April 10th, saying that the court needed more time to decide the case. PTV's first female announcer, Kavan Nasir, passes away in Islamabad. She was under treatment at a local hospital. Renowned broadcaster was associated with Pakistan Television and Radio Pakistan for over 5 decades. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, 3 Indian troops killed and several others injured in an attack in Srinagar today. Pakistan national cricket team leaves. The cricket team leaves for Johannesburg tomorrow for a bilateral series against South Africa. Those are the headlines. For details and live streaming, log on to our website world.ptv.com.pk. You can also log on to our Facebook page with the name ptv World and follow us on Twitter at worldptv. It's goodbye for now.
Ayubia National Park, a wonderland of sky-touching trees, beautiful birds, and a wide variety of animals. Ayubia was declared a national park in 1984. It covers an area of 33 square kilometres. This park is full of flora and fauna. The Forest Park is home to 31 species of mammals, including the common leopard, rhesus monkey, yellow-throated marten and Indian porcupine. Around 203 bird species can be found in the park. The park's biodiversity includes 757 plant species. "19 species of reptiles, and 650 species of insects. Ayubia National Park has a network of natural springs and freshwater streams, which, besides adding to the scenic beauty, are important sources of water for the local communities. This park is a haven for the adventure-seeking tourist and nature lover. Various trails snake through the forest, which are ideal for hikers and bird watchers. In order to preserve this unique natural heritage, visitors are requested to follow the park rules. Do not litter. Littering destroys the beauty of the park and harms the fragile ecosystem. The garbage you leave behind ends up in streams and pollutes the water used by thousands of people in downhill areas. Do not uproot plants or trees. Do not kill or trap animals. Do not vandalise park property. Do not light fires in the forest. Dry pine needles are quick to catch fire, which can spread easily and destroy vast areas of the forest cover.
Hello and welcome to Politics. Today I'm Farrukh Pitafi. Once again, we are going to focus on Pakistani politics today. There have been many developments. 3 developments particularly are legal in nature. One, after the last time we spoke about politics, we have seen that Yusuf Raza Gidlani's petition, or People's Party's petition in Islamabad High Court regarding Chairman Senate election has been turned down. There is one development. The second development that is very important is regarding local bodies or local government election and their integrity. There too we have seen that the court has sided with the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan so far has sided with the local governments that were disbanded in Punjab. And the third thing is NA 75 Daska's the bipolar re-election that was to take place on 10th of April, and the Honorable Supreme Court of Pakistan has actually deferred that election on the basis that they need to hear all stakeholders before they come to a conclusion. This is important, and then since the morning we have been hearing about Maryam Nawaz and she going to in NAB Lahore's office. That was supposed to happen tomorrow. And first we saw People's Party, and People's Party's reaction was quite interesting. Till the time there was no verdict from Islamabad High Court, People's Party seemed to actually stand separately, and it was not supporting the idea of going with Maryam Nawaz to NAB. Then the moment we saw that the verdict came, Kaira Saab, who is a senior leader of Pakistan People's Party, announced that his party is going to support Maryam Nawaz and there will be a rally supporting her. Then today we heard that Maulana Fazlur Rahman maybe will not participate in the said event. And after that we also saw a communique from NAB announcing that that hearing has been deferred. There are many things that are going on, and we are going to try to actually understand what exactly is the nature of things at this moment. But when you talk to the pundits, they point out that finally opposition has found a very important issue that can help us, that can help it in actually carrying out its politics and rallying to the cause, and that is the State Bank ordinance. It is about the sovereignty of State Bank, but given the culture of misinformation and speculation in the country, and the fact that this is a democratic country, there are many voices disputing the matter, and we will actually try to look into that matter as well. We are going to discuss all these matters and more. In order to help us understand these issues in the studio, I am joined by Dr. Imran Ashraf Saab, who is a political analyst. Also, although he is younger than I am, but he is also my teacher. So thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. We had one guest lined up for the program from PTI, Ahmed Jawad Saab. There was some development in his personal life, so he couldn't make it. We are going to actually bring in somebody from PTI as we move forward. From PMLN on Skype, we are joined by Rana Ehsan Afzal, who is a young leader, young and bright leader of Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz. Rana sir, thank you very much for being part of the program as well. Let me start with you, Dr. Imran Ashraf. At this moment, do you think that Machiavelli is actually writing Pakistan's politics? Because the way People's Party changed its gear, one moment it seems that it is going to clash with PMLN in the PDM. And the moment a verdict comes from Islamabad High Court and it realizes it is not going to get the said relief, they change their gears.
Thank you, Farrukh. The representative from the political parties would be in a better position to answer this question politically.
No, you cannot get out of this one. You are going to tell me because you are the objective observer.
But yes, I believe, and you are interested, and obviously you are expecting from my side, my response, more in utilizing the academic discourse. So that's why I would say, I would start with that what is happening in Pakistan when we connect this to the outer world, to the globe. I would say that the contemporary algorithmic world is under transformation on many accounts. So when we say the world is under transformation, the rest of the states, they are as well under transformation. So that's why throughout the world, the socio-political movement become a very popular and become a very prominent feature of the state system across the globe.
Right.
Okay, now if we see to the Pakistan.
Okay.
Now we come to the Pakistan, and in the context of the Pakistan, where we analyze what is happening in Pakistan, I would say that no need to be worried about, because we have three levels of democracy. One is the impulsive, second is the possible, and third one is the thrive level of the democracy.
Okay.
So when we see what is happening in Pakistan, and you have mentioned in the intro, and obviously onward we will be discussing the whole course. We are as well under transformation in a sense that right now the Pakistan is passing through a transformation, moving from possible to the thrive level of democracy.
Okay.
So when we are moving from possible to thrive level of democracy, it means I'm very hoping, and obviously for the better future of and progressive future of Pakistan.
Because you are my teacher, I'm interrupting you less, but I have to do it.
So coming to the domestic politics,
the theoretical perspective is important, but when you look at the politics of PDM, do you see any common ground actually there?
Okay, fine. Now we come to the domestic politics.
Yeah.
So I would say that look at right now, for the PTI and the PDM, I mean the government and the PDM, it is indispensable that the political stability is indispensable.
And they should sit together, right?
Why? Like
I'm going to actually come to you. Let me bring in Jana Ehsan Afzal Sahab. Jana Sahab, I want to understand does your party actually come with only front-facing gears? We have seen a lot of aggression going on right now. We haven't seen any tactical maneuvering when it comes to reconciliation. Initially, we thought that there is going to be reconciliation between your party and People's Party at least. And then we start seeing the statements coming from Maryam Nawaz Sahiba that alternative of Prime Minister Imran Khan is being deadied. And the mention or implication then was that perhaps it was Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. And then we saw a salvo coming from him as well. So can you tell me why is it that your party doesn't seem to have or can keep allies?
I think, when PDM wanted to make a consensus on resignation, and 9 parties agreed, and People's Party, which is the second biggest opposition party in the country, did not want to go ahead with that decision. That was one of the low points of PDM movement. And when that happened, I think there was aggression on giving statements from our side, and I would say there was some sort of aggression from People's Party as well, which was not good for the PDM movement, and that is how I think the public and the media took it. But there was realization that we were weakening
their aggression, which actually came in response to your statement, your public statement, was retrospective. It was talking about past, that in the past your party has worked with the establishment, right? Ladlas and all. And your attack was primarily forward-looking, prospective. That you were particularly talking about People's Party being deadied as a replacement of PTI. Do you see the difference here?
Yes, politics in Pakistan is very much blurred, and the problem is that there is a trust deficit due to the past, but the 26 points of PDM are the bigger picture which we should focus on. And I was saying that when the realization came that we were weakening our stance and we were not focusing on those 26 points, and when the realization came on both sides, it was decided that we would not criticize each other because we are working for a bigger agenda, which is implementing the Constitution of Pakistan, which is strengthening judiciary, independence of media. So I guess sanity prevailed, and both parties now have decided not to take jibes on each other.
Right. Let me ask you another very important question, and this is important because I'm going to bring it to Dr. Saab in the studio as well. When you look at your party and its decisions, is it mischaracterization to say that your party's leadership is so much angry that it seems to actually keep on getting used by other parties? For example, the two nominees for chair and deputy chair when it came to Senate actually were from two other parties, People's Party and Maulana Fazlur Rahman's party. And at this moment also, it seems that they keep on using you to negotiate on their own terms with the establishment or the government or whatever the power might be. And yet, you are actually not in a position to get any political benefit out of this situation. A, because you are very angry. B, because the party is very much divided within the two houses, House of Nawaz and House of Shahbaz.
First of all, let me tell you that, even if there is a difference of opinion on how to go ahead between Shahbaz Sharif or Nawaz Sharif, when a decision is made, the whole party follows. And then even if there is a difference of opinion, it is kept aside, and whatever is decided by consensus is followed. So let me assure you on that. Number two,
resignation was your and Maulana Fazlur Rahman's consensus. Nobody followed that.
No. Now PDM, at the level of PDM, it was decided that People's Party is going to go for the Senate chairman, and JUIF is going to go for the deputy chairman, and PMLN will get the opposition slot. So we are leaving that decision to PDM. PDM will decide who's going to be its nominee and who will get the wholesome support of PDM for the slot of opposition leader. And we believe that, even if People's Party has been trying to get Gilani Saab the nomination, at the end of the day, it is going to be the platform of PDM which is going to make the final decision.
Right. Dr. Saab, I have to actually, I understand you love to talk about the international and macro level analysis. Let me bring you back to the national and local level analysis. PDM, can it stay united? One. Two, is there any possibility that you see People's Party resigning from assemblies along with the PDM? If not, what is the future of PDM?
Okay, I personally believe that the People's Party is not going to resign from the parliament. Number one is. Number two is that I will more like to talk about that what is the solution of the whole situation we are right now witnessing at the domestic politics, within the domestic politics and domestic frame. So I would more in the view that political stability right now is indispensable for the opposition and the government both. Why? For the government to deliver in next 2.5 years, and for opposition to prepare for the elections, upcoming election in the local bodies and upcoming elections of the
right. And that you are actually talking about the normative part, right? And I understand that it is a good wish of many of our country's intellectuals and people. But if wishes were horses, beggars like me would ride, right? And the problem at this moment is I also wish to be the richest man in the country or the world, but that is not happening. At this moment, government doesn't seem to be willing to sit directly with any of the opposition parties. And the opposition parties also keep on preempting the possibility that they are going to sit. So now what happens?
So the only way to improve the political situation is to sit together, the government and the opposition. Now coming to the point that why they must sit together, because commonly they have some sort of concerns and issues when we talk about their voters, the PTI and the PMN side. Because in the wake of COVID-19, unemployment and inflation is the core issues in the front of the opposition and the government as well. Now the voters actually they are looking towards their leadership
Okay.
No matter the leadership is of the PTI or is of the PDM. So now they are sincerely looking towards the contribution of their leadership, that how they contribute in order to resolve this. So in order to resolve the whole mess what is happening, it is important to sit together in order to have a negotiate on certain grounds. So many common grounds they are there. For example, electoral reform, they are there. So many reforms they are there.
Right.
So they must sit together. There is no other way.
They have straight away. And I'm going to, when I go back to Rana Sahib, he is going to tell you that they are not willing to sit in the parliamentary body that has been created by Speaker and Chairman Senate, right? The concern right now is that when you talk to People's Party's workers, they might complain about inflation, as you have pointed out, umpteen other issues. But when you say that in the next election, are you going to vote for somebody else? They say out of question. They find fault with the finance minister, any other minister, but not with the prime minister. And same goes for the tribalistic politics of People's Party as well and PMLN as well. They seem to be not talking about these issues.
In my viewpoint, these are the political slogans. Like now, I think that all the parties should come out of these political slogans, and they must focus on the on-ground issues. They are there with the publics, with the masses, with the common masses they are facing.
Okay.
So the real task in front of the opposition and the government is social emancipation, not anything else. So that's why I see that every political party must realize that right now we have to have, like, come out of what we have constructed before this.
And I totally get that. But let me, one by one, talk about the psychological profile of each party. PMLN, do you see it in any case thinking about the possibility of working with the government or conceding any more ground to People's Party? Yes or no?
Everything is possible in the politics.
Yeah,
because
but psychological profile right now.
Even on the psychological profile, they can sit together. We have so many examples in the past. Like the PTI exactly right now sitting with the MQM, PTI sitting with the CAF League. So yes, it is possible.
Okay,
it is
that
possible.
will happen when one of the parties is degraded to a level that PMLQ is. I mean, you understand, it used to be the ruling party of the country. Now it is a weak party. So then they can sit together. MKM used to be a very strong party. Now it is not. And now, therefore, they can sit together. But when you talk about the possibility of PMLN and People's Party, it seems that, PMLN and PTI, they don't seem to actually work together because they're contesting the same vote.
It's when we take the composition of the PDM into account, itself your question is itself is an answer that when the People's Party and the PMLN they're sitting together, why not other parties and why not the PDM can sit with other parties? Because previously, historically, we see so many blame game from the leadership of the PMLN to the People's Party and People's Party to the PMLN and all that. So they're together in PDM, and right now they're supporting to one another. But where from they should start? My viewpoint is they should start from the point that they should stop or they should cease the statements against one another. So it would be very difficult. Now comes the role of the leadership of the parties, all parties.
And that's the most amazing part. You are great in the classroom, but I'm trying to drag you out of the theoretical side, right? And the reality right now doesn't support the optimism that you are showing, right? And let me give you a proof of that. Rana Ehsan Afzal Saab, is there any possibility that your party is going to sit with the government? And are you going to sit with the government in the speaker's created body?
Right now, the way PDM is going, their foremost goal is that this system is not working and we need to get rid of it. And then we can, talk about how to move forward. But let me tell you why this has come to this point. And this is my analysis. You could disagree with it. But the reason is Imran Khan has been calling the whole opposition thieves, corrupt, politicians who have destroyed Pakistan, and that has been narrative since I think the last decade or so. Now the issue is, if he had done some progress on the economic front or on the promises he had made, he would have shifted the focus from name calling the opposition and towards his achievements, if there were going to be any. But as there are none, so he has to build the whole narrative on the same thing that the opposition are thieves and they're going to destroy Pakistan, and for all ills they are responsible. So this is the problem and the dilemma Pakistan is stuck in, that we have a Prime Minister.
Right. I understand what you're saying, sir, but let me actually bring you back to the question itself. And that was a basic thing. Regardless of how the Prime Minister treats you, your party actually got a substantial share of votes, right, in the election. Your constituents must be asking you for some kind of results. One issue that seems to be a thorny one is electoral reform, because evidently in Daska, elsewhere, you keep on raising the concerns about transparency of elections, and so does PTI. So now the Speaker National Assembly has asked you to come and sit with the government's legislators to actually make laws accordingly. What is stopping you from doing that?
So, Pitafi Sahab, I'll have to repeat my answer. I mean, just take out of the last 7 speeches of the Prime Minister, where he has been addressing the public. And what do you gather out of it? He has only one agenda, and it is name-calling the opposition. This situation, it is tragic.
Let me remind you, when you were in power, your side was also name-calling many people. I remember the former, former information minister, actually, she came to this program, and we had to mute her because she was actually using very abusive language.
Pitafi Sahab, that is regrettable, and I condemn using any abusive language, but I must tell you that we had a very good relationship with the opposition in the assembly. The speaker was very, he was very partial, and the working in the assembly was very normalized. But today, the government is supposed to be very patient. It is supposed to be having a bigger ground. It is standing on higher grounds. But the problem is, as I've said, this is my, I believe this analysis. Had Imran Khan delivered on the economic front, had he delivered on the promises he had made, he would not have been so aggressive. His aggression, the government's aggression, is only there because
I understand your objections to the PTI government. But you have to realize that it is a government in infancy. It is for the first time they have come to power at the center. But your party has been in power or in the power corridors for something like 40 years, sir. Shouldn't you be cutting the government some slack and actually working with that? Because in the end, it is your constituent who's also suffering in the end, right?
Pitafi Sahab, I agree, and it's a tragedy. We are in a tragedy right now, and I think yes, it should happen. There should be some sort of movement from the opposition side, and there should be 10 times more movement from the government side. But this is the tragedy we are in, and I hold.
And the tragic part, Rana Sahab, is that you cannot control how the government behaves, but we all can actually control how we behave. So at least PMLN had the initiative. It could have mended offences, because your party's current president, actually offered at the start to actually work with the government on 2 or 3 agendas. One was the Charter of Economy. Now it seems that that issue is going to boil up as well because of the state bank and everything. Let me go from this realism of yours. Let me go to the Dr. Saab's idealism again. And I actually enjoyed the idealism and realism clashing. But the point that I was trying to make, Dr. Saab, you have to realize that at this moment, the kind of rhetoric is there. there doesn't seem to be any possibility of thaw between government and opposition. Now the question is, at least somebody has to do their own job properly, right? Can PDM do its job properly? Can it get together and give government a tough time? Because so far they haven't. Can government actually do something and deliver in a way that the opposition becomes irrelevant? Pick one.
If honestly, if we want to come out of the problems, it's not about the giving tough time to the government or punishing the opposition.
Okay.
But it's something else. What else is that, yes, bridging the Rana Sahab, what Rana Sahab has said, that okay, the government, I would suggest to the government, I would request to the opposition. What is the suggestion to the government? I would suggest to the government that okay, immediately the Prime Minister and the government must form a dialogue committee.
They have.
Exactly.
The Indian National Assembly, there is a dialogue committee, but it is called legislative committee.
But that is the legislative committee, particularly for the purpose of the PDM, to deal with the PDM, like what challenges coming to the political stability from the PDM side. So they must form a committee, that is a dialogue committee, and the dialogue committee seriously must engage the opposition. And our request to the opposition that seriously you should respond to the dialogue committee. But one thing I feel in the all situation, that it is requested to the opposition, to the PDM as well, to the all parties, that within the political struggle, I humbly request to the politicians that do not drag the institution into it. Number one.
Absolutely.
Number two.
And that is music to everybody's ear. But here's the point. You gave three suggestions. One to the government, two to the opposition, right? Now, let me ask you, as an objective viewer of this program, if you see yourself, can you see any of the sides, the two sides, actually taking this advice? I mean, look at the 73, 74 years of history. Do you see that it is a great advice? And I would kill to have it, right? But do you think anybody is going to actually really do it?
But this is the true solution of what is happening in Pakistan.
And next question. Do you think that by not taking this very good advice, the political class is weakening itself? Because Pakistan has a history of checkered politics, right? Checkered history of politics, and where at times we didn't have constitution, or we didn't have democracy, or we didn't have the kind of functioning government that we want to see. Do you think that politicians, by not taking this advice, are weakening themselves?
If they are not taking this kind of advice, they would generate exclusivity within the society. Already there are so many reasons, and we are trying to overcome, like as a collective, like taking the collective bias, the institution, the society, the politicians. They are doing a lot to include already excluded part of the society, whatever the reason they are. But if the same thing happens, if the political parties, they work on the same, they follow the same course of actions right now they are following, I'm afraid again that we would be on the path of the exclusion. So exclusion is not a solution. Inclusion is the solution. But in the whole course of this struggle, as I mentioned, that every institution has its own prestige. Whether it is the parliament, whether it is the judiciary, whether it is the military, whether the ECP, whether the NAB, whether it is the, I would say, the opposition leader, office of the opposition leader, office of the president, the prime minister. So please do not compromise on the prestige of the institutions and the positions. So that's why I would say
that actually makes sense, because today you might not be in power, but you are trying to actually actively undermine the office of Prime Minister. Tomorrow you might actually end up there, and you are actually doing a disservice to your own position of the future. Is it what you are saying?
Yes, exactly.
And degrading other institutions, NAB is an important institution. Then the honorable judiciary, politicizing or trying to portray it in a political color also doesn't make sense. Similarly, the attack on the army that is actively fighting terrorism even now, and people are dying. That also makes sense. But will that happen?
This is not a solution, because when we take into account the states, they were even less developed.
If there is no other solution, what is the consequence? If that solution is not taken?
Instability, political instability. The political situation cannot be improved without taking this advice and without sitting together. No even solution in the history of the world.
Can you qualify that instability? What kind of instability? Economic, political, you said, right? But what kind of political? Marches on street, or some other kind of dysfunction? For example, we have seen some dysfunction in the parliament, where laws actually stop. They go there these days to die because they haven't been made, right? And then the government has to introduce ordinances.
The sweet thing may happen is that the people, they would lose the trust into the political process.
So political parties, by dividing themselves, a political class is undermining its own collective
interest. Not
interest.
weakening one another, but actually they are weakening the political process, the democracy.
Right. And Rana Sahab, this is a very simple argument to make. And I mean, anybody, it appeals to everybody. I'm sure that even if you are going to actually stick to your partisan position, it appeals to you as well. Why is it that your party and opposition parties can't seem to work with the government? There is an open invitation, one by one. To my dismay, I heard opposition representatives dismissing the government's initiative or the speaker's initiative. It is a very charming kind of, invitation. Do you not want EVMs in the election? Do you not want transparency in the election? If you have your concerns, can't you actually take them to the committee that has been formed?
Yes, you're right. I mean, in this scenario, it would be, but again, I have to tell you that where we are right now, where PDM is standing right now, the priority of PDM is, and it believes that as long as the government stays, each day is going to be a loss for Pakistanis and Pakistan. So, if this is our stance right now, I don't see any benefit of sitting with the government. Now, how things go about in the coming few days is to be seen. So, for example, you were talking about the State Bank bill, the amendments. Has the opposition been taken into confidence, or was there any committee asking? These are the things which should have happened through the Charter of Economy.
There is a way to take somebody into confidence, and that is by talking to them. And when you form a committee, the committee's purpose is to take them into confidence. If you are boycotting the committee, there is no confidence at all.
Of course. I mean, I've told you the stance of PDM, and I think, let me ask a question, not that we want this to happen, or, we are looking forward. Has Imran Khan ever called the leader of opposition or the main opposition leader in the past few years? Has he tried to, make a bridge, to make a move, a positive move towards the opposition, or has he been, very aggressive?
No.
Leave the opposition. The opposition has to be aggressive. It has
but
to highlight.
Sahab, this is a question that you are witness to the, this all. I've been actually raising this question as well. But that is besides the point. Right now, there is actually a deadlock based on two claims of yours. Sir, hang on, sir. You say that in 2018, your party would have actually won the election had there not been lack of transparency. And now you're getting an opportunity to sit with the stakeholders and make laws that fix that problem. Why would you not take it? It is your concern.
Pitafi Saab, the Election Act in 2017 was a good act. It was quite comprehensive. Now, the only rigging which happens is through, before my friend was saying that we shouldn't name institutes, but it's a sad fact that, those things happen invisibly. Those things happen by maneuvering the media of Pakistan, by maneuvering judicial decisions. And, that is how rigging happens, and there is no bill that you can take.
Respect, when I actually want to give a political speech, I can. It actually happened recently with Sidney Powell's case, when she said that the politicians, when they speak to the public, they exaggerate. I understand what is your party's case is, but this idea that somehow the entire Panama Gate was a conspiracy, international conspiracy against your party, and whatever happened in the election without actual concrete evidence. I mean, I can give you so many conspiracy theories, but that won't actually do justice to what I do professionally. So you have to realize that while in hearsay is good, but till the time you don't have any smoking gun, you cannot undermine an election.
You cannot find a smoking gun when, in the hands are working. But let me narrate a small incident to you. In the last election, I was also an applicant, and the process of getting a party ticket was very cumbersome. So there were 3 interviews which took place, and for one interview we had to wait almost 12 hours because there was such a huge rush. So there were 3 days spread over a month, So we had to go through that process, and then we got those tickets, the party tickets. But later on, 25 of those members who made such a cumbersome effort to get the party ticket went for Jeep tickets, which never existed. There was no party for the Jeep sign. So, there are many things. I would not want to mention here that there were many.
They didn't, with due respect, they didn't go for Jeep ticket. There was no Jeep ticket. They went for the electoral sign, right?
Yes.
Electoral symbol, that was Jeep.
Of course.
And pray, who was heading that group of independents? Your party member.
Yes, and, I'm telling you that this country, the 73 years of this country, has seen dictatorship. It has seen institutes intervening in democratic process. No. So this is not something which does not happen in Pakistan.
No, I understand. I cannot deny that 13 years ago there was dictatorship or controlled democracy in the country. But the fact is that in the past 12 years, you and People's Party have been in power. And you had all the levers of power to actually mend things. And even then if you complain, there's an open invitation. And you're not even taking this. Sir, I'm told that we have run out of time. Let me ask Dr. Saab to conclude, and then I'm coming very quickly for you for a conclusion.
I would say that I would suggest to the leadership of, if not all, most of the political parties, that unless you don't have the true democracy within the party, you would not have been implementing the true democratic norms and values within the country.
Right, and that actually defines whether we are democratic or not. Rana Sahab, your conclusion.
Political parties are fighting a fight for their survival.
Unmute your mic, sir.
Are hardly surviving.
Rana Sahab, I cannot hear you. You'll have to unmute your... Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm saying political parties are fighting a fight for their survival. They are attacked and they are literally trying to survive. So yes, they need maturity, they need democracy within. But the attacks on political parties, they have to stop and they have to be given space to grow. So only then, we will see a change coming. Otherwise, this system which has been continuing since the last 73 years will continue.
But here's the biggest problem that I see in that, and I have to actually submit it because I have to actually break away for the conclusion as well. That a sportsman says that if audience doesn't stop cheering or jeering, I'm not going to play. That becomes a problem, right? At this moment, I'm told, Rana Sahab, that we have to conclude the program. Thank you very much for your precious time. Thank you very much for being part of the discussion. Dr. Imran Ashraf Sahab, it is great having you on the show. Thank you very much for your idealism. And I pray that nothing eclipses that idealism. But with due respect, 20 years, 25 years of covering politics, I am really far away from that kind of idealism. You have to appreciate that as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. One, you listened to the discussion. Unfortunately, the government's representation had some last-minute family engagement had to go. We couldn't take the government's perspective, but we actually talked about the systemic issues, and they can be fixed if political parties actually heed the advice of Dr. Imran Ashraf. That doesn't seem to be happening. On another note, let me also share with our audience the sad news that one of institutions of Pakistan television, Kamal Nasir Sahiba, she used to be a presenter, host, and an institution. She died today. So a lot of people are going there as well. Remember her and PTV in your prayers as well. This was today's program. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.
जिसको सुर से प्यार नहीं वो मोरक इंसान ही नहीं.
I like to play this robot.
Music gives us a peace.
Journeys along with the northern areas of Pakistan never give a feeling of a repeated travel experience. On the way, you may pass many beautiful scenic spots. The Gilgit-Baltistan of Pakistan is the most spectacular and fascinating region, where the world's three famous mountain ranges, the Himalayas, the Karakoram, and the Hindu Kush meet. The landscape in these areas changes almost every kilometer. Here, we're taking you deep into the northern regions of Pakistan, through which the Silk Road once passed, where the Wakhi people have resided through many centuries. A culture rich in history and endangered to go extinct, the Wakhi culture has survived the harshness of the mountains and resisted the influences of being at a crossroads of cultures. Nestled among the world's highest peaks in Gulmit village, in what is called the Roof of the World, Bulbulik Heritage Centre is a platform for local and international musical exchange for the Wakhi youth. The Wakhi people inhabit the northern regions of Pakistan, China, Afghanistan and Tajikistan. Wakhi people have a rich culture, a distinct, beautiful language and a vibrant musical tradition, and they keep on struggling to preserve their identity.
The first thing I was interested in music was when I looked at my elders of my village, like my grandfathers and the elders. I saw them playing the sitar and the other instruments. So I was attracted towards them. I like to play with the old instruments because it's a part of our culture.
Bustling with educated youth from all fields, the musical schools at the Bulbulik Heritage Centre in the Gojal region is reviving folk Wakhi music with modern musical elements in an age where pop music takes center stage. Wakhi youth are striving to bring their folk music into the mainstream limelight.
I got my interest in robot from my childhood. I saw my elders, my grandfather, how beautifully they are playing this musical instrument, the star, the rebobs. But that time I got my interest in rebob, and I like to play this rebob.
Bulbul Heritage Centre's objective is to preserve the endangered Wahi musical heritage and promote it for future generations. To do this, the school is getting to work to record the historical Wahi music compositions and styles of their elders.